What is the most effing useless thing that they teach in school? Left brain versus right brain. Not only is it not true, it just divided all the kids from smart kids to art kids. No need for that. How to take care of a baby by 1. Bringing in an egg. 2. Having the teacher sign the egg. 3. Decorating, protecting, and carrying the egg at all times for 2 days. 4. Revealing to the teacher at the end of day 2 that the egg was still intact, without cracks. All that taught me was how to take care of an egg. Step 1. Put it in the fridge. Sure, but what about the egg? We had those robot babies that would cry at random times and you'd have to coddle it to make it calm down. My friend took it home for a weekend and literally almost smashed it because she couldn't get it to stop crying. She decided after that she was not meant for motherhood. We had written finals in high school for PE. It was so ridiculous that even the PE teachers didn't really bother reading our answers while grading the exams. Example questions. A friend of mine described the history of the football with an elaborate answer about how a guy stuck on an island kicked a coconut and due to a quantum anomaly, his foot fused with the coconut. This led to the birth of the legend of the football. Another friend answered what is an aerobic exercise with a drawing of a man doing push-ups in the presence of a chemistry set creating oxygen via hydrogen peroxide. And drew arrows to them labeling the reaction and the push-ups as aerobic and exercise respectively. Another friend answered a question about things to keep in mind when trying to eat a balanced diet for health with points like try not to eat a brick wall. Only one of them failed. One of them had their final exam sheet framed. Edit, holy crap. This blew up. Just to be clear, I'm not saying knowing those things isn't important. Just that we had covered all of that in middle school as different subjects, except for the history of sports questions. So it was just something nobody cared about. Thanks for the awards, strangers. Edit 2, clarified high school. I want to hope that it was the aerobic exercise that had failed. It'd be funny for the other two to paw even though the aerobic exercise was probably the closest answer to being correct. It actually was him that failed. Hard to get away with a diagram. The others just passed because nobody bothered to read the answers. I can't imagine his reaction after that. I suppose becoming a PE teacher is out of the question. Zero tolerance policy is the dumbest thing ever taught and implemented. All it teaches is to fear authority when you're the victim. It enables the perpetrator, who is normally a bully. I know administrators are lazy Fs, but they need to actually investigate the goddamn problem instead of saying, hey, you both were involved in the issue so you're both going to get punished. It basically just raises you to hate authority. And while I don't like authorities either, I don't think they're all distrustful. Although, I guess this could be interpreted as commentary on how garbage authority is. It also escalates situations. You're getting the same punishment if you retaliate or not, so you better make sure they think twice before starting crap with you again. I do not want to say this and strongly advocate against violence, but this unfortunately leads to such conclusion, indeed. Hey, if I'm getting suspended either way, I might as well do something to deserve it. If you're going to do the time, you might as well do the crime. And honestly, it's not worth it to half-ass it. Take it as far as you can. Really push the envelope. It actually taught me something useful for the real world. You can't trust anyone with power over you. Nobody cares what happens to you, and if you don't want to live on your knees you have to fight, damn the consequences. I was bullied since elementary school. Just talk to them, tell the teacher, the parents. For 8 years I've tried this. It did jack crap. But one day I finally punched the crap out of a bully in high school. Guess what happened? I got punished and he didn't. At least he stopped bullying me. There can be no justice under an absolute law. I agree what you got into a fault that wasn't started by you and you didn't antagonize the other person until they started the fight. Suspension for both of you. The way they told me about it too made my blood boil, because they said it like an ass too. Not a lesson, but they teach you to respect adults no matter what. That's how teachers get away with so much nonsense. It's how parents get away with abuse. Kids are taught to respect adults, but what they really teach them is don't do anything to inconvenience an adult. So a kid is more likely to keep their mouth shut if they're getting molested or beat. They need to teach instead that respect is earned and not to blindly trust people just because they have seniority or authority over you, that you have a right to make a judgment on somebody if they're doing something bad. 100% agree. This crap is what makes children think it's their fault when someone is treating them wrong, and it is so incredibly harmful. That sticking up for yourself is wrong. I punched a kid in the face because he was being physically abusive to me. He grabbed my arms and spun us in circles, intending to let go once I would be sort of thrown through the air. I got an arm loose and punched him in the face before that happened. Instead of him being expelled, I, a female half his size, was forced to apologize for defending myself. I'm still effing mad. That reminds me of the time when I was being bullied by some older guys in 3rd grade and I was just a small girl. Edit. I use he/him now, by the way. They threw a basketball at my head once, and so, having enough, I slapped one of them. Teacher claimed to not see the boys throwing 3 basketballs at my head, and I got detention for the rest of the week. Got tripped by some bullies in school and literally had my skull crack open on a steel and concrete pillar. It messed me up for life. They never got in trouble. Jesus. This thread is simultaneously making me so angry at the complete lack of justice, and terrified to have kids in the school system someday. Makes me practice in my head the 2-hour-long speech I would scream at the principal and dumbass teachers of that school, and I don't even have kids. Dare was the single worst effing useless thing ever taught at school. Especially when the cop teaching said class ends up getting arrested for coke. Studies show dare increases drug use because 1, when they realize dare is lying about weed, they assume dare is lying about other drugs, and 2, so much emphasis on resisting peer pressure makes kids assume everyone is doing drugs, so they have to do them to fit in. The dare rhetoric got to the whole world through cartoons, and I thought that people would be offering me free drugs all the time. I'm 32 and I've only smoked a joint once, recently, shared by a friend that's a teacher. I heard that dare ended up having more people get into drugs instead of keep them away from it. I like how they force you to make a DARE promise to pass and exit the program. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? I'm not going to feel ashamed because you forced a 5th grader to promise never to smoke, drink, or do drugs. That's the definition of indoctrination, and I raise a cold one for the DARE officers because I know that they are smokers and alcoholics anyways. Buys dare shirt only to smoke in later. That if someone's bullying you, tell them that you don't like it. Like, no crap, that's why they do it. Edit. Holy moly, thanks for all the awards. I just started this account and this is the first comment that's blown up on my whole time in Reddit. My grandmother used to tell my dad, my brothers, and me, if someone hits you, tell them you don't like to get hit. Most useless piece of advice that has been taught to society. Edit. Fixed a typo. My dad taught me to fight back if someone hit me, but to accept the punishment from the school. And you know what? People stop hitting you once they realize you punch back. Schools apparently punish more harshly and less justly on those grounds than they did in the past. Pretty sure I'll still tell my kid to put that other prick in the ground, but I'm sure it'll be more hassle than my parents dealt with. Might be true, but as long as you know what you did was right and your parents have your back, school detention is not that much of a punishment. One important right lesson in life is that you often have to choose between several bad outcomes and sometimes get punished for doing the right thing. The only thing that ever helped me with bullies at that age was fighting back. I tried everything else. But the teachers punished me more than the bullies for it. They'd always say it doesn't matter who started it, which is effing bullcrap. I'm still mad. That line is the effing stupidest crap. I don't care who started it teaches the bully 2 things. A. They can get their victim in trouble whenever they like, and B. The authority don't give a F. I was waiting in the office for a counselor's appointment in 9th grade, and this kid that I didn't know decided to lay into me and make fun of absolutely everything about me. I wasn't making eye contact, I just kept shaking my head no and looking at all the office workers, who heard him, but ignored it and said nothing. As soon as I got into my counselor's office, I started sobbing. This kid had absolutely broken me. The counselor was visibly uncomfortable with me crying, and was like, "Do you want to talk to him? Let's get him in here and talk it out." I was like, no. Why would I want him to know what he did to me? To which the counselor replied, so you two can be buds after this. I was like, yeah, let's let the bully know that his tactics have worked, and I'm even closer to killing myself now than ever, which is why I was going to the counselor's office in the first place. F. That. Crap. Glad I never have to do high school again because I wouldn't make it out alive a second time. Edit. Hello all you beautiful people. There's a couple things that I'd like to address here. First off, I am a 32-year-old woman, and I was 14 at the time. The guy that was making fun of me was at least 17, and easily 50 pounds heavier than me. I had zero chance. So while many people are saying, well, I would have XYZ. No, you wouldn't have. You'd have the same reaction as I did, no matter how brave you thought you would have been, or I should have been, at the time. To those of you who have gone through something similar, goddamn, that effing sucks, and I'm sorry you all went through it as well. It saddens me to know how common this experience is for so many, but I am happy that we have all lived through it. And to that one particular Redditor who told me next time pinch your sack, maybe then you won't be such a pussy, you my dude, are so far off the mark. You are just precious. I seriously don't get that. How can school staff legitimately think, hey, this kid's getting bullied? They would certainly make good friends. This plan couldn't F up in any way. That counselor watches too many movies. No, it's the crap that they teach you in education classes. Everything is about positive reinforcement, and they really discourage teachers and staff from anything that might be seen as negative. Which is bullcrap. Kids are people, which means a certain number of them are dicks and a few are straight up evil. Is expelling a student an absolute pain in the ass? Yes. Is it the best thing for your school? Hell yes. The saying is a few bad apples spoils the bunch. For a reason. Agreed. So you two can be buds after this. Honestly, school administrators and guidance counselors can be so freaking naive about bullying. No, you're not going to be best friends with your bully because you opened up and told them how much it hurt you. The bully doesn't want to be your friend. He wants to feel superior to you by putting you down. There's a website called Not Always Right. One story covered how the school planned to deal with bullying, and the parents were not amused at how naive these teachers were. Seriously, bullies are merciless crapheads. That some teachers are this naive makes me wonder if they ever went to school or were a child. I've seen some mental health professionals push for schools to start calling it peer abuse or something similar to really try and drive home the fact that's exactly what it is, abuse. Just because it's not an adult abusing a child, doesn't mean it can't leave lasting damage on a person to be trapped in an inescapable environment with people who torment you 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. I know plenty of people who've had lifelong psychological issues from being bullied, and often having it dismissed by the adults in their life when they mentioned it or asked for help. Memorizing the periodic table. It's a table, there is no need to memorize it, all the info is there already. Every single day in chemistry class, there was a huge poster on the wall with the periodic table on it, big enough to read from any seat in the room. Except one day. The one day we had to take a test on how well we'd memorized it. Then they covered it with a sheet. You see, it was absolutely essential we remember the molecular number of molybdenum, for all those hypothetical other times when we wouldn't just be able to look up on the wall and see it. Yes, why did we have to memorize the molecular numbers? Especially in an age where most everyone has a smartphone they can use if they really need to know the molecular value of something. There's learning to educate, and then there's memorizing for an exam. Completely different concepts. As you get older you realize if I need it, I can just print it out and put it on the wall. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.